Okay, awesome. So we are live. Um, Hello everyone and good evening. My name is Faiza Yousuf, and a lot of you asked me about the specific time that we have chosen for this webinar. The reason being that we all know that vacations are coming up, and we wanted to make sure we don't do it on a Friday because we know that you all are planning for the long weekend. We have Bianca with us. So happy to have you, Bianca. Bianca works as a product marketer, and because we see a lot of conversations around women wanting to know about product marketing and product management, so we wanted to invite her to have this conversation with all of you about how to shift your career to product marketing, no matter what your background is. So, Bianca, I am not going to read your intro. I want you to just take a few minutes and introduce yourself, and then from there, let's start the conversation. Over to you.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I apologize for the time if it's too late for you. It's very early for me here in Chicago, so I appreciate everybody's flexibility. I am a product marketer. I've got about 5 years of experience working in international marketing teams. And I'm currently working at a company called AdTheorent, where we focus on machine learning advertising solutions. So there, really, I focus on helping out with the positioning or crafting sales enablement. And many like you, I kind of entered the field by accident or by chance, so to speak. So I'm really excited to speak to you all today about how you can, take your career experience or lack of career experience and enter a really cool job like product marketing. Should I share my slides, Faiza?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Awesome. So just to give a pretty, high-level overview of what is product marketing before we kind of go into how we can shift our career. Product marketing really is that foundation or that base that every business should build itself upon. Without product marketing teams or product marketer, any tactical marketing strategy they're going to put in place, like SEO or paid search and social, it's going to work, but it's going to crumble. So product marketing is really those bricks that lay down that foundation to help a business win, especially with such an overcrowded marketplace that we're seeing with B2B SaaS. It's really important to have a product marketer come in and really hone in on the differentiators of a company. So the basic components of product marketing consist of 8 pieces. You've got market research, you've got product positioning and messaging, you've got strategy, you've got sales enablement, which is something that we'll go over. Sales enablement is just pretty much executing and creating materials for your organization to use, like one sheets or decks. You have customer personas and segmentation, pricing and packaging, metrics, analytics, and feedback, and a continuous improvement loop. So product marketers cover a lot of ground. It's an extremely cross-functional role, which makes it a very fun role, but can be pretty stressful at times. So just looking at the current state of what product marketing looks like right now, this role is a pretty new role. It's been in existence for maybe, let's say, the last 15, 20 years. And as a new role, majority of people have found themselves without proper training in this position. So this is just the most recent survey conducted by the Product Marketing Alliance, which is a great resource to tap into on your product marketing journey. And so almost half of product marketers only have 2 to 5 years of experience in the role. This is good news for those that are wanting to join product marketing teams, because everybody's just new at this, and everybody has found themselves in this role from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds. The bad news, or I guess the struggle with this, is that majority of product marketing teams consist of 1 to 2 people, and then second biggest is 3 to 5. So it's pretty competitive. There's not that many jobs, especially. There's been a shift in the job market this past year with startups. A lot of companies are starting to go towards what they're calling fractional product marketing managers. So that's someone who comes on a project-by-project basis. And then once they are able to figure out or lay down those bricks, like that foundation we talked about, they kind of move on to the next project. So how do we get in knowing that it's kind of a competitive field? Well, we can look at the top skills that product marketers need, and it pretty much comes down to 4 top skills that you need to hone in on. You've got to have really strong communication, because in order to cover all the components of product marketing, you have to work as cross-functional as possible. You're going to be working with stakeholders, you're going to be working with data people, you're going to be working with salespeople. So you have to adapt and really know how to, I guess, curate your communication skills to each person. The next skill you need is research and analytics as well. As a product marketer, you really are blending that left brain and right brain thinking. So while you have to be creative with your positioning and with your messaging, you also have to be quite analytical. You're doing a lot of research and a lot of analysis on what is working within your company. And the third skill you need is strategic planning. So you need to be able to, while you have to do the tactical skills like creating those sales enablement materials, you also have to be strategic about how you position the business. And the fourth, I guess, most important skill that even I'm still working on because it's not something that I'm naturally skilled in is copywriting. Every product marketer really needs to be good at copywriting. This is going to be, your bread and butter for success when it comes to product marketing. So that being said, now that we kind of know what the scope of product marketing looks like, what the market conditions look like, how do we actually position ourselves to enter a field like product marketing? So on the left, you see a typical B2B positioning framework. So April Dunford, she is an amazing product marketer. She came up with an actual concrete framework that marketers can use to position their businesses. It consists of figuring out your market category that you want to compete in, figuring out the trending tech you want to highlight, and then figuring out the product solution of your business. If you can, figure somewhere between all three of those a positioning statement that covers all three of those, that is your strongest positioning statement. So if we take that framework and if we adapt it to our job search, we can do the same to make ourselves or position ourselves for having the best success in our job search as possible. So the way that I would adapt this structure is figuring out what your desired industry is. So for example, I have 5 years of marketing experience, but all that experience has been based in advertising technology. The easiest shift for me to do is to transition into ad tech. So let's say my desired industry is ad tech. What is the unique skill set that I bring to the table? Well, I had a very eclectic marketing background. I know the tactical components of marketing, which is the SEO, the paid search, the paid social. I also worked in market research, so I know how to set up surveys and do customer research. And I've also lived in multiple countries, so I know how advertising works both in the US and in Europe and in Latin America with different privacy laws. So what are the problems that I can solve knowing that I want to go into ad tech and knowing that I have those unique skill sets? Well, the biggest problem that I can solve is I can help businesses who want to launch advertising solutions both in the US and in Europe because I know both privacy laws. So that right there is my positioning statement because it covers all three of those aspects. So with that positioning, I can now search on LinkedIn or I can now, write on my resume what my strong suits are, what my positioning statement as a product marketer is to have the best success possible for finding that role. Not sure if anybody's up for it, but we can kind of practice this framework with anybody that's in the live stream that's curious to see how they can pivot.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that. Anam Fatma, do you want to do that exercise? Or Tanveel, any one of you? You can unmute and then have a conversation.
No pressure if nobody wants to.
Yeah, absolutely no pressure. Just asking. We also have a few more people. So Saima just joined in. Do you want to maybe do that exercise?
No worries. I don't want to put anyone on the spot,
Yeah,
but this
no
is just a
worries.
good, it's a good framework to keep in mind. As we mentioned, the field is kind of competitive, so this has helped me to find those positions that I really fit those skills and just has set me up for success. So if you want to take a screenshot of this framework, by all means, you're welcome to do so. So where can we learn more about product marketing? Well, a really good resource to start with is the Product Marketing Alliance. This is like the original product marketing community. They've got courses, they've got tons of articles, webinars, resources. I mean, this is really, if you have no knowledge of product marketing, definitely start here. There's a ton of free resources and you can join their Slack community. where they're constantly posting jobs, and you can network with product marketers across the world, really. So it's a good resource to have when you're looking for jobs. You've got PMM Camp, which is a level up. This is kind of like the Product Marketing Alliance, but for those that are already working in product marketing. So once you've kind of been able to work a couple years or a couple months in product marketing, it's a great resource to connect with other senior product marketers. And it offers pretty much like a mentorship program to help level up or upskill your product marketing skills. Harvey Lee, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. He is a brilliant product marketer. He worked for Microsoft. He actually launched the Xbox in Europe. He has this newsletter called Below the Waterline that's free to sign up for. And really just in his newsletters, he's able to highlight very actionable takeaways. I highly recommend signing up for his newsletter. And then April Dunford, we mentioned her previously as the queen of positioning. She's the one who developed that framework. She has a book called Obviously Awesome that is just a very simple, straightforward guide to how to do positioning. I definitely recommend at least reading her book. This will give you a good grasp on how to conduct that positioning framework. So that's all I have on my slides. I think we can open up to discussion, Faiza, and then to any questions that we may have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Priyanka. I think this was really helpful. You mentioned a little bit about your own background in terms of you coming from traditional marketing in a different area and then moving into product marketing. So what do you think was the biggest challenge in terms of understanding the industry or understanding the type of work or expectation that was there for you when you moved into product marketing?
Yeah, 100%. So when I transitioned over to product marketing, I didn't have proper training. I just kind of was taken and just kind of thrown into the water. So I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know, like, as you mentioned, what the expectations were of my organization or my superiors. And product marketing is one of these positions that look very different depending on which organization you're in. It can be something very strategic or it can be something very tactical where you're really, getting your hands dirty and creating that content for the organization. For me, the biggest help was aligning myself with networks like the Product Marketing Alliance, really reaching out to other product marketers, trying to gauge what they do on a day-to-day basis, what their organizations look like, and what their expectations are. Mentorship as well was a huge help for me. I signed up for a mentorship program, and my mentor has really kind of just held my hand and showed me the ropes to give me that confidence to, take on those new challenges.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have another question. I think this is the same question that 4 different people have asked on the live stream. So they want to know that are there any courses or certifications that you would recommend for them? So one has mentioned that they are a software engineer, but they think that they enjoy working with the marketing teams more and would like to experience working in marketing. Another one said that they are from social media marketing background and would want to explore product marketing. And then 2 more people have asked the same question about any courses or certifications to get their to get the skill set basically.
Yeah, the most, I guess, highly recognized course is that Product Marketing Alliance course. It is quite pricey, but it is a good start, or I guess a good foundation. For those that said that they have a software engineering background or a digital marketing background, I would very much encourage, once you kind of learn more about what product marketing is, take that framework that we just discussed in those slides, and I can send it out to everybody who's been on the live stream and in this chat afterwards. But go through that exercise of positioning yourself. Like, for example, for that software engineer, they have a perfect background if they want to transition into product marketing as a developer marketer, because they can speak the lingo. They're a technical marketer. It's literally the perfect opportunity. And there's not enough people who can do that because a lot of product marketers come from a very creative background. So just going through that exercise just speeds up their job transition for sure.
Got it. Got it. So, so Tanveel has a question in the chat. She's asking that I have 2 years of digital marketing experience working for B2B and B2C industry. I'm bored doing the same thing again and again and want to shift to product marketing. I plan on taking some courses. Would I be able to get any internship or entry-level positions? So how difficult is that? How easy is that? If you can maybe shed some light on what employers are looking for when they're hiring for product marketers.
100%. So, you have a marketing background, you worked with B2B, B2C. To be honest, I don't know if it's worth for you even paying for the course because you have some marketing background, right? So I think if you try to, on your own knowledge, try to learn the basic components of product marketing, reading April Dunford's book, you can definitely find an internship or even entry-level position, 100%. It shouldn't be a challenge for you. I had a digital marketing background as well before falling into product marketing. So I definitely encourage you, go through that exercise, figure out if you want to be in B2B, B2C, and then what market category specifically, within those components do you want to focus on. And it shouldn't be a challenge for you to find those positions. And if it is, just reach out to me. We can brainstorm some options.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bianca. So we have one more question on the live stream. Somebody wants to know that, again, same question. So when it comes to employers, what exactly are they looking for in terms of skill sets? Are there specific skills that you need, some specific tools or specific keywords that they are looking for in a resume?
Yeah, the job market has changed a lot in the past year and a half. Before, it was a lot easier to take those transferable skills, highlight them in your resume, and make that switch. Now, what I'm seeing and engaging from the job market is a lot of companies want industry-specific experience. And even if you have those skills that you can provide that they're looking for, a lot of times, if you don't have that industry, specific experience, they'll just filter your resume out. So the best step that you can take is if you're able to apply for product marketing roles within a similar background that you come from, that's a very good start. Another big roadblock that I see is there's an expectation, unfortunately, by employers for product marketers to have 5 years of experience when, if you look at the market research, the data shows that most product marketers only have 2 to 5 years of experience. So it's unrealistic expectations set by most organizations. The best way to kind of face this roadblock is network. You really need to network with the hiring manager, really need to get in on a personal level so that you can get past that roadblock, because unfortunately you have a lot of people that are competing for this similar positions. So by networking, you're able to put your best foot forward.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. So Anam Fatma is asking on the chat, what are the biggest roadblocks people face while making the switch? You just touched upon it, but is there anything else that you think can be a problem? And again, if someone doesn't have marketing experience, do they need to learn marketing first and then move into product marketing? How would that journey look like?
Yeah, I definitely encourage. So the biggest roadblock we just mentioned being the market right now is just madness, right? It's become very saturated with competition. And then also a lack of industry specific experience that can be a challenge. As for somebody who doesn't have, a background in marketing or industry experience, the best way to enter the field is, figure out, do you have any job, do you have any work experience, or are you just finishing uni and then looking for a job? You really need to figure out how to best position yourself. So going back to that framework, if you do have previous job experience, what category or what market was that in? And kind of stick to that, because that's going to be the easiest way for you to transition into product marketing, finding a product marketing role within the same market category. If you don't have any, job level experience or any marketing experience, and you're just fresh out of uni or just someone trying to make the switch, figure out what market category you want to enter and stick to it. Stick to one specific niche, because that's going to, higher your likelihood of being able to find a role in that position. Definitely educate yourself on the components of product marketing. And if you can, take on, passion projects if you have no experience, and create a portfolio of positioning or case studies or like one sheets, because that way they can't, negate or they can't rebuttal your application, because you have an actual portfolio to show that you have some type of experience or proof.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And I think I want to I want to ask about portfolios also. So if someone is doing a passion project and they're working it they're working on something and they do not want to show the name of the employer, and they want to build a case study or a one pager for it. Do you have any specific advice or format or anything in mind that how can they show the work that they have accomplished in a certain project?
100%. So I'll give you the example of a woman I just helped mentor. She just finished university. She had only 6 months of work experience before being laid off. And that was in some kind of SEOs, you know, to show social media experience. She's been searching for a job for a year. She's been trying to enter product marketing. So working with her, we worked together for the past year. I suggested to her, even though she doesn't have much experience, to start up some type of a portfolio. So we, crafted just mock case studies, or just, as simple as you can look at like real world case studies. One of the things that I love most is looking at like how Airbnb, for example, positions itself in different countries, in Japan versus in the US, and just kind of outlining the step-by-step process as to why they position themselves differently and how they go about doing that, just as a starting base for you to kind of, give you food for thought, and then you can kind of work on passion projects. But with this girl that I mentored, the way that we were able to help her transition into product marketing and set her up is, first of all, we had some kind of case, like, portfolio. Even though it wasn't strong evidence, there was something that she could, fall back on. Second of all, we networked. We reached out to people on LinkedIn. We cold messaged people of different, of different organizations. She really wanted to work in medical technology. So like now she got a job for a company that leverages artificial intelligence with radiology diagnostic tools, but she really focused in the medical field. So we networked there. When she landed the role, or not landed the role, she was invited for the initial interview. The first step we did was create a one sheet for this company. So looking at her portfolio, seeing what she's done before, we custom created a one sheet for this company showing how they can penetrate the UK market, taking their tools, how they can expand. That really impressed the hiring manager, and no one else took the initiative of doing that. So not only was she able to add an additional piece of evidence to her portfolio, but she also had an actual hard piece of evidence to show the hiring manager as to how interested she was in the role and why she's the perfect candidate. So she actually ended up getting hired because of that. So definitely, if you don't be afraid, if you don't have any experience, start with some kind of a portfolio. If you have a, technical background as a software engineer, or if you have a digital marketing background, use those pieces in your portfolio. A lot of companies want to see your copywriting skills as well, if you're a good writer, because a lot of companies don't have budgets for multiple product marketers. So you're going to have to kind of wear multiple hats. So if you can showcase your copywriting skills, if you can showcase your analytical skills, using case studies or, doing research, that's going to make for a well-rounded product marketer.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that when it comes to pivoting your careers, initially we do have to go extra mile in terms of learning a new skill, and then showcasing that skill in terms of that this is something that we can do. So Tanvir is asking, she has 2 years of digital marketing experience. So she's saying, hey, can I use it when I transition to product marketing, or do I have to start from scratch?
I would not start from scratch. I think if you think of product marketing, if we have that house analogy, right? Product marketing, well, that's the foundation of a house, right? That's the foundation of a business. From that comes all those different elements, right? So once a company figures out its positioning or its messaging, then you can do like the digital marketing, the SEO, because you kind of know what to talk about. You know what the company's about. You know what competitive advantage it has. So if you're at this end of the house, but you want to go to this end, definitely use those digital marketing skills. Talk about how you had to hone in your copywriting skills for digital marketing, how you had to, strategically think, using data to inform those campaigns or optimize those campaigns. Those are all skills that product marketers need. And majority of product marketers, they do come from some sort of digital marketing background or SEO background, and even technical marketers come from a software engineering background. So definitely leverage and emphasize those 2 years of digital marketing experience. But when it comes to crafting your resume, make sure you're switching up the lingo so that the language that you use within the resume speaks to product marketer.
Got it. Thank you so much, Bianca. So we have a couple of more questions. Somebody's asking about, the day-to-day of a product marketer. So they want to know that for you as a product marketer, what do you do on daily basis? What kind of work that you are doing? So an insight into that would really help.
Yeah, it's not a job for somebody that likes routine, because on a day-to-day basis, it definitely changes. So my day-to-day, it looks very different based on the quarterly objectives of the organization, but it can start off anywhere from me working on analyzing campaigns that were successful or analyzing, projects that were successful, creating a case study based off of that to be able to give to sellers so that they can go into the field and, position our company as the best advertising solution out there. It involves meeting very different teams throughout the organization, from partnership teams to selling teams to engineering teams. So working with different teams and even different personalities as well, trying to really gather the right information to put into those sales enablement materials. It's meeting with stakeholders as well, explaining to them what products are working, what products are not selling through, being able to analyze those reports to understand, okay, if we position a product differently, is this actually working? Are we actually selling more, or are we losing money? So keeping track of all of our efforts in a seamless kind of dashboard. It very much depends. Sometimes you will receive a project out of nowhere and you have to just completely switch focus, but you are pretty much wearing many, many hats.
Got it. Got it. So Tanveer is asking you a question. Do you also give one-on-one mentorship?
I'm more than happy to mentor. We can also potentially talk about mentoring with CaterpillHERs as well, but I'm definitely more than happy to offer that, because I think for me, my mentor was key in being able to develop myself professionally in product marketing, because when I entered, although I was very grateful for the opportunity, I didn't have someone to really walk me through and hold my hand, which is something that I very much needed. So that mentor is what kind of helped me out.
Right. Thank you, Bianca. Another question is about the need of technical skills. Are they somebody has posted on the community that are there any specific tools, analytical tools, social media tools you use as a product marketer?
Yeah, so it depends on the organization, but we primarily use Salesforce. We use it for our CRM. We use it for our reporting as well. I pull reports from there to see what products are selling, what products are not selling. A really good tool to use, but this is if you're working on sales enablement. It's a tool called Seismic that houses all different materials, and you can kind of curate it in a way that you see fit for your organization. We also, if you can have good Excel skills, pivot tables, data visualization, that's a big help. And product marketers don't realize how advantageous that is to have, especially when you need to, figure out reports quickly.
Got it. Yeah, Excel is everywhere. You can't get rid of Excel anywhere.
No,
So
no,
be
no.
it program management, project management, or marketing. Farah Rahman is asking on the live stream. So basically, we have to work in a cross-functional hierarchy. She's talking about what you mentioned in terms of your workday. So as a product marketer yourself, what part of your day-to-day job do you think or do you find more challenging?
Yeah, because you're working with so many different personalities, and then oftentimes you're in a position that you have to justify your work, right? Because this is not a role like digital marketing where you can see the exact KPI, right, of your efforts. You can see the cost per click, cost per action. This is a role that's very strategic, so it's sometimes hard to measure. There are ways to measure it, but it's not as, tactical as something in digital marketing. So I think the challenging part is that feeling of having to justify myself to stakeholders or justify my work. And also as a person that maybe doesn't have as much confidence as other stakeholders, going up to those, high profile leaders and having those conversations, you really need to muster up the confidence to have those conversations for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question is about identifying target audience for your products. So are there any tools or exercises do you use to figure out how do you find that target audience? How do you position your product?
Yeah, so Salesforce is a big help because we can directly kind of distill down by vertical what, where the client is coming from. Are they B2B? Are they a, CPG company? So we can kind of see who our target audience is from there. Also, we talk with the sales team. We, go out in field, we talk with our customers, and we try to gauge who is most interested, who's biting onto our products, who's not biting, who's our biggest competitor. Competitive intelligence in this aspect will really, really help you out. And that's another big part of product marketing that I didn't really touch on, but competitive intelligence is a huge player in that because it really helps you understand what your competitors are up to and how you can then position yourself against them.
Got it. Got it. So another question on the live stream is about, okay, this is the same question again about tools. Farah is asking the same question. What tools should we be aware of? Like this is something we should be able to use or no. So Farah, Salesforce and Excel skills were something that Bianca mentioned, just answering on behalf of her. Bianca, another question is about you know the career growth in this role. So if you become a product marketer,
Yeah.
how does the career trajectory look like for someone like you or somebody who's just joining product marketing?
That is such a good question. I'm so happy that was asked because it's a very hot topic in the product marketing community. This role is so important to a business, but up until now, there hasn't been much career progression available. You join as a product marketing manager, probably get promoted to senior product marketing manager. From there, maybe go on to, head of product marketing or director level. And that was kind of the cap because most organizations don't have the budgets or don't have a need for like a vice president of product marketing. So it was a struggle for a very long time to kind of grow in your career and your role because you hit kind of a cap or a ceiling. Now, a lot of companies are kind of shifting perspective. They're realizing that how key product marketing is to an organization. So they rather hire on someone who's a bit more senior at that, director or VP role, which limits, opportunities. But there's also another interesting shift as well, which is called fractional product marketing managers. Last year in 2023 as well it was just a massacre for SaaS companies. A lot of people lost their jobs, I'm sure, as you guys know. And then companies had this shift to understanding that we don't need a product marketing on a full-time basis. We can have someone come in, build that foundation, lay that brick down, and then once they're finished, they can move on. So for those of you that are looking for more freelancing opportunities, that's a great place to be in because there's a lot more need for those, fractional product marketing managers that's coming up. But in terms of like career progression at a company, it's still limited, but it is getting better for sure.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for being so candid about it because this is a very important conversation in terms of understanding how does the career progression look like, and also if this is something that will need you to maybe upgrade yourself or pivot in a few years, because that's something that we keep on seeing in a lot of roles in tech, that after a while they get stagnant and you need to scale up and find something else to do. So another question on the stream is about how much of your time do you spend in writing, basically? So is it a
Oh,
good role
yeah.
for someone who's a writer?
Oh, 100%. If you are a naturally skilled writer, this is your jam. This is your role. I am somebody that's actually naturally more analytical. So this has been a big challenge for me transitioning into product marketing, is honing in and really refining those copywriting skills. Oh, someone says they can't hear. Can you hear me okay, Faiza?
I can. Rimsha,
Okay.
her microphone is not connected. Let me tell her.
Okay, cool. So yeah, copywriting is essential. It's an area that I definitely struggled in. And I've had to really work hard at getting to level where I can start writing stuff. I still have my supervisors kind of review my writing just so they can put their spin because she's a very good editor. But it's definitely an area that I had to work at. So if you're skilled in this, that's even better for you.
Okay. So uh, somebody who's a product manager has posted asking a question, send me a question in inbox. She's saying that how closely do you work with product managers or engineering managers in your day-to-day role?
Yeah. So in my organization, we are not as close as most other organizations because we align with a team called partnerships. But um, in a lot of organizations, product marketing actually lives under the product management team. So they work a lot closer, and product marketing helps product management define that roadmap. So if you are a product manager interested in switching into product marketing, that should be a relatively easy switch. It's harder for product marketers to switch into product management. But if you are looking for the reverse, you're set up for success there.
So this is something that I've seen recently. So my area is product management. But I've seen that a lot of roles for product managers now also include marketing skills. So this was something that that really interests me because again, my background is in engineering and I moved from engineering to quality to process to project to product management. So that was my career trajectory. But when I now look at different roles, I see that part of the roles are around marketing and writing and sales also. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts. I think it's an effort for organizations to really streamline. I think the role should definitely still be kept separate because it's not fair to blend those responsibilities because if you're trying to hit all different targets, you can't really take the time to focus on your specialty and your craft. But I agree with you, Faiza. I'm seeing the same thing as well. A lot of organizations are just taking the product manager role and just adding some, marketing requirements and making them kind of do this hybrid role, which I don't think is necessarily a smart idea because then you're just exhausting that person, frankly speaking. But again, if it is something that you're interested in switching over, I definitely think if you have those analytical skills already, those are much harder to gain and grasp than those marketing skills, right? So I think that's why the preference is having someone from a more technical background, get those marketing skills because the reverse is much harder or it takes more time, it's more costly. Yeah.
So yeah, one more question is about so this is also something that I wanted to ask and it was in my list, but somebody also asked this. They wanted to know, are there any communities, blogs, podcasts, books, resources that you can recommend for people who want to upskill themselves or learn more about product marketing?
Definitely. If you want to upskill, definitely check out the Product Marketing Alliance. They've got a ton of they have a core course that teaches you all the fundamentals and basics of product marketing, and you can get certified in that. But they also, if you know product marketing or if you know marketing, they also have what's called like master's certificates or master's courses that really focus on individual topics such as like go-to-market launches, positioning, messaging, pricing. So that's the best way to upskill as a product marketer. Definitely check out the Product Marketing Alliance. That will be your best resource. And then also they have the largest Slack community for product marketers. I mean, we're talking about like thousands of people across the world. So if you join their Slack, there are people on there constantly posting jobs, constantly posting information. You can network with people in the community.
Got it. So um, Rimsha has a question how to land an entry level product management, product marketing job, especially remote ones. So, do you see a lot of remote opportunities for product marketers, Bianca?
Yes, so going back to that fractional idea we're talking about, there is a lot of remote opportunities opening up. However, not for entry level, unfortunately. That is definitely something that people look at. They look for like a more seasoned or senior product marketer to join it at a remote capacity. That's how you get access to those clients. Because the reason being is that these are companies that are looking for someone who's very skilled in their craft to come in, work on a project for an amount of time, and then they go to the next project. So they're not companies looking to train somebody. They have like a legit need that they need someone to come in, do the job as efficiently as possible, and then move on. So there's a lot of entry, or I guess there's a lot of remote opportunities, but for more seasoned product marketers. For entry level, you might have to be a bit scrappy and crafty as to how you go about it. I'm sure there's remote organizations that will hire that, but on a project by project basis, it's mostly, for seasoned product marketers.
Got it. So, one more question about, any any specific personality traits that hiring managers are looking for in a product marketer. And also, the same person has asked this question that, for example, if you are a product marketer in a certain industry, how easy will it be for you to switch to another industry? So, for example, you are in ed tech, and if you want to go to health tech, so how easy or
Yeah.
difficult would that be?
I'll answer this in two parts. So the first part regarding the personalities, again, this is a role that's very cross-functional. So, you're working with the techies of the organization that might be a bit more introverted or might not have those communication skills. So you might need to read between the lines a little bit or be more direct with them. Then you're working with sales, people. They are complete opposite. They're much more extroverted, maybe talk a little bit too much, don't get to the point, So you need to have a personality that adapts. You need to be able to influence, right? One of the key traits that's successful to a product marketer is the ability to influence people. Because what you're producing, you want to lead with that, right? You want people to follow your lead. So if you cannot influence, that's going to constantly cause friction in your role. Be a diplomat as well. Try to get everybody on the same page because you're going to be that person that's going to lead a project between departments that are very siloed. So the ability to lead, to influence, to be a diplomat, those are key personality traits that you should definitely develop. As for switching industries, this is a really good question. And this is something that I'm also struggling with myself. Up until a couple of years ago, that would not be a problem. You could have a fintech background, switch into ad tech. Definitely the higher you get up in your career, obviously you're going to specialize more and more. So once you hit that senior level, to switch industries, it might be a little bit difficult because you specialize yourself so much into the legislation of that field, the regulations of that field. Right now, I'm seeing with a lot of people that I mentor as well, the biggest pushback that they get from companies when they apply for jobs is that they don't have enough industry experience. So for example, I'm an ad tech, I want to go into fintech. I'm gonna struggle to make that transition because I have no fintech experience. Even though I can, apply those skills to fintech organization, I don't know the laws, I don't know the regulations of fintech. So an organization is going to see that, and if they see a candidate come in with that fintech experience, they're going to choose them over me. So that's definitely a harder one to face. But again, if you network there is going to be your biggest, friend there because it's going to get you past those initial roadblockers.
Got it. So I have a question for you. We do have a few more questions, but I have a question for you. So right
Yeah.
now, where you are in your career, what exactly are you learning or looking forward to learn in maybe the next few quarters?
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned you're a product manager because being a product marketer, I'm realizing I'm really interested in getting in the weeds of things, understanding the technical aspects of how the machine learning tech is built, how our data science team works. So I'm really looking forward to getting closer, working more closely with those teams, with those technical teams, and to really understand how a product is built. I think my experience with product marketing is that a lot of times the product marketer is touching those customers and is so well versed in knowing what the client wants, but product management isn't, So product management they're working on these products, but they don't really necessarily know what the clients or what the customers want. So I'm really looking forward to bridging that gap at my current organization.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. I'll take one more question and then let you go because we are nearing, the end of the session. So, okay. So there are like way too many questions. Let me just pick one.
I've got time if I can stay for like another 15 minutes if you'd like. I'm free.
Okay, let's do that. So, so can you give some examples of some successful product marketing campaigns that you really love, or some products that you thought that their product marketing team has done a really good job? Anything that really stuck to you?
Yeah, so my favorite example of a successful campaign, it's not one that I worked on. So this is Airbnb. Airbnb, obviously, they've got coverage in every single country, right? But the way that Airbnb positions themselves in the US is very, very different. So Airbnb tried to enter the Japanese market, and Japan has, within their culture, they have this concept that hospitality should be like treating the guest like a king. Like you go above and beyond for the guest. You make sure that the guest is so well taken care of. Customer service is at an absolute high. And they've taken that concept and they've really applied it to the hospitality industry. So for that reason, Japan is dominated by big hotel chains because they have the capacity to serve that need. So Airbnb, the way they position themselves originally and in the US, is that they offer unique experiences, unique houses that you can stay at. That kind of positioning would not translate to the mind of a Japanese consumer. So given this kind of friction, this pushback that they had to really change the way they position themselves when entering the Japanese market. And they did it in such a beautiful way. I mean, this is like an example of localizing marketing as well. They really took that customer research and that customer segmentation to heart, and they really applied it. So the way that they took that concept of hospitality and honoring the guest, they showed in all their marketing materials that they positioned themselves as that, as I forget the actual Japanese word for it, but they positioned themselves as a leader in hospitality, as a leader in treating your guests with honor. So that was their positioning statement. They built that building block, right? From there, all of their marketing campaigns, their advertising campaigns, their video campaigns follow the same messaging. So you had videos of a Japanese host, hosting guests, and the Japanese host going out of his way to buy fresh eggs in the morning to really make sure the guests had the best food, and organizing like private sushi classes so that the guests can really enjoy. Like he really catered to his guests, and you saw that in the video, and they did it in such a beautiful way that that's how they were able to, break through those big hotel chains and actually successfully enter the Japanese market. So for me, that was just a beautiful example of doing everything right in product marketing, which is really understanding your customer, getting behind the research, changing your positioning if you have to, because most organizations are not that adaptable. So they change their positioning and they just really localize their content to really make it as relevant as possible to their consumer.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, do you think for again, I have nothing to do with marketing, just out of curiosity. So, if you're working on a product that is now being marketed to a different region, um, do you think you will need a local product marketer, or do you think online research or talking to local people is enough for you to build a campaign for another region or another country?
Yeah, I'm so happy you asked that question because that's actually my passion project. So again, my background, I've worked internationally. I'm currently living in the US, but I've lived for many years in Europe and in Spain. And when I was in Spain, my role was taking a Spanish platform, a Spanish product, and entering the US market. So we had the budgets, and because it was a software, it wasn't like an actual physical goods. The logistics was much more simple. We had an actual regional team based in the US that we worked with, and that was key for our success because they knew the locations, they knew the customers, they knew what events to put on. And I really tapped into that team to be able to inform my marketing campaigns. Because from Spain, I couldn't really see what was going on in the US, right? That is something that I often write articles about. I'm currently writing an article on this very subject that you mentioned, helping, product marketers understand the need for regional teams. Unfortunately, that's only multinationals have budgets for that, right? Like to have regional teams or local teams, as ideal as it is, there just isn't budget oftentimes. So how can you, work with what you have? I think it's very important to use tools like BBC World Map, Culture Atlas. There's a ton of ethnographic tools that you can use as well to really understand the local culture that you're marketing to. But I think it's a very important step, especially when you're trying to expand internationally. You really have to know, you can't just assume that your positioning and messaging is going to work in that target market. You have to really understand, because it could be a very costly mistake if you just assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so so by like 15 years of my career, I worked with companies in the US. So it's easier for me to understand things from their perspective. But I also can see living in Pakistan that a lot of things that I do and work on are never going to work in Pakistan because of cultural barriers or because of how people think or because of how things are. So in terms of infrastructure, legislature, a lot of other things like basic policies also. So a lot of things won't work when it comes to Pakistan. So 100% understood in terms of that. So the last question that I'm taking, because we are nearly on time. By the way, we have 50 something people watching online right
Oh,
now.
nice.
Yeah, and I think we have like 6 7 people in the call also. So one question that I saw repeatedly, if you can maybe touch upon this idea, that do you think that somebody who has a technical background would be a better fit for product marketing role or somebody who has a marketing background? Because the community that I run is women in tech, so we have a lot of engineers in the group. So they want to know that if a person coming from engineering is a better fit than a person coming from marketing or vice versa.
That's a really good question. There's a big need for technical and developer marketing. The fact is that majority of product marketers come from some sort of creative background that for them, it's very hard to market to a technical audience. So if the biggest advantage you have is that you know that lingo, you understand how developers work, you know the needs of a more analytical mindset, right? Definitely. There's room for everyone in product marketing because it depends again on the organization, their needs. But there is a big niche for technical marketing and developer marketing. So if you have that engineering background, you are definitely set up for success, especially if you're interested in switching to product marketing. Because again, as we mentioned earlier, it's much easier for you to learn those digital marketing skills than a marketer to learn those technical skills because you've done your degree, you've done your studies in that. It's not going to take you very long to learn the marketing skills, but vice versa, it's much more challenging.
Got it. Thank you so much, Bianca. This was wonderful. I had a lot of questions myself also, and you answered them. Thank you so much for your time. I think this was really, really good because we do see a lot of questions around product management, product marketing. We have a lot of women who have learned digital marketing skills, but now they see that they are stuck in that and they want to move. As Sanveer mentioned, they want to move to another career. And then, of course, the need for mentorship and the need for women sharing their experiences to other women is really important because that's how we make sure that people understand the pros and cons of going somewhere and what kind of opportunities that are available. Thank you so much. Any last advice do you have for people watching you?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best advice you can do is find a mentor. Reach out. As I mentioned, I'm always here to help. Happy to help out on one-on-one basis. But I think mentorship is key as you make this transition. You need someone to support you. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you so much.
thank you guys.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.